What's going on, good people? Let's get to it. Today's topic here on real estate, with a real one, is the common phrase, marry the house, date the rate. All right, so there are a lot of questions in this market. We're coming out of two and a half years of, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, real estate market that anyone has experienced, right? Super low interest rates, prices were higher than normal, but some folks were able to buy homes and make good deals, etc. So fast forward. Now you're in the thought process based off of changes that have happened in your journey on whether or not you should buy a home or not, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about why we say marry the house, date the rate. All right. So let's look at the previous market first. This is a means of kind of sort of educating you. So in the previous market, the interest rates were low, like historically low. Like rates now are closer to what rates are normally. But at that time, I mean, at certain points, you had people that were getting rates in the twos, right? But the offset of that was prices rose, right? Because and I've said this in multiple videos and conversations that I've had with y'all, usually things don't usually map out exactly what you want on both sides, right? So if your rate's super low, that means that the price you pay is going to be a little bit higher than normal, right? This market is now the offset. So I won't say that we're completely back to a buyer's market, but we are trending in that direction, okay? And let's talk about where we are. So rates are up, right? Now, rates are up from a perspective of where they were during the COVID pandemic, right? But rates are really back to where they are normally. Like, these are the normal rates that people buy homes with. But let's just speak in the context of, is it a good decision? So where the term marry the house but date the rate comes from is, right now, if you're buying a home, you're gonna most likely get that house at a more advantageous price than you would have gotten in the previous market, right? Now, on the opposite side of that, right, of course, the rate's higher. But by marrying the house, meaning that if you get the home at the cheaper of the price point, the whole phrase date the rate comes from your ability to lower the rate or refinance for a better rate in the future, right? You can refinance rate. You can't refinance price, right? The only way you can adjust your price is by paying it down and building equity in it, right? But you can't refinance the price. So the reason why you're hearing it could be financial advisors, economists, realtors saying marry the house, date the rate, is because you want to be able to get the asset at the best price possible and have it under your control. Once it's under your control, that means at minimum, for the next 30 years, this fixed payment of whatever dollar amount is what your payment's going to be. So you don't have the volatility that you experience in the rental market or any of that. It's specifically that payment, right, that's locked in. But you have that freedom that in 6 months, in a year, because, who knows? Some believe that around the time of presidential elections, gas goes down, the cost of food goes down, and sometimes there's a little bit of benefit from reduction in interest rates. You now bought the house at the best price, but now some time has passed and rates have gone down, and now you can refinance that home at the cheaper price that you paid for it and get the better interest rate. So now it allows you, from a long-term perspective, to double dip, right? So it gives you a level of additional freedom. The folks that immediately were able to get that amazing interest rate that they received, the only movement that they're gonna get in price, like we talked about, is by paying it down. So don't be so caught up in interest rate, okay? I think interest rate is something that is drilled into you by friends, family members, or maybe just random articles that you're reading, but you gotta focus on it. Another common example of that, just to kind of educate you, is that with credit cards, folks who pay their balances in full don't care about rate, right? So I understand all the theories, right? Like, don't get store credit cards, don't get credit cards with high interest rates. I get all of that, right? But there are people that have been racking up points and benefits on some of these cards with crazy rates for years, but they pay their balance in full every month, so they don't pay interest. So it's all about the perspective and how you leverage the situation. All right. So remember, just keep it in your mind as you're thinking about your process and what to do. Marry the house, but date the rate.